We turn to breaking news now. At least one person is dead after a shooting inside Scarborough Town Centre. Toronto police say they were called to the mall just before 2 this afternoon.
20-year-olds, there's no jobs for them out there.
Who gets all the jobs?
The migrants.
Here we are, $83,000 free a year, free benefits, free medical. I'm working my ass off. This guy's working his ass off. Free rent, free car. She's probably going to go back to drive a BMW when she's finished here.
Okay, I know I'm gonna sound racist and I'm gonna get a lot of hate on this video from my fellow Indians, but I need to say it. Somebody needs to say it. If you move to Canada, just learn some basic manners. Just learn to hold the door for the next person. Literally seen people banging the door on the face, not only me, to other white people, and I've seen their reaction. It's pretty rude. So don't do it.
Thank you.
Canada is losing its culture really fast, and this is coming from an immigrant. A lot of people are not going to like what I'm saying, but it's the truth. As an immigrant myself, I say this with a lot of respect. Your job is to support the country, not change it. You left your home country for a certain reason. Now you're abroad into a different country. Your job is to adapt within the system. Your job is to speak the language. Your job is to understand the system, not overriding it with your own personal value or your own personal belief.
You want to hear about the story in Lindsay? So this criminal that's wanted by the police breaks into this guy's house. This guy gives him a beating, and this guy gets charged. And the other guy gets charged. But something is broken.
By 2016, Muslims will be the biggest religious group the world over.
Oh my God.
What are you going to do then? Actually, to oppose Sharia is even then? We have families, we are making babies. You're not. That population is going down the slum. One day we can have a Muslim majority nation here in Canada. Right in your face.
I was born here. I pay my taxes here. I'm raising my children here. This is my home. And lately it feels like I'm not allowed to say that without an apology. I'm not racist. Truly, I'm not. I don't judge people by their skin color. I believe in kindness, decency, and shared humanity. I've welcomed others, embraced diversity, and taught my children to treat everyone with respect. But something has shifted in Canada. I am not sure we're even allowed to talk about it without being attacked. I'm tired of being called a colonizer by people who weren't even alive when history happened. I'm tired of being made to feel ashamed of the color of my skin. I'm tired of hearing that I have no culture and no roots because I'm white. I'm tired of watching my homeland change so drastically and so rapidly, and yet being told I'm hateful for even noticing. When people chant death to Canada in the streets, they're celebrated. When truckers wave Canadian flags and ask for freedom, they're criminalized. When food banks are overwhelmed, housing drives up, and crime rises, we're not even allowed to ask why. We're just told to be quiet, and if we're white, to check our privilege. But where do we go when we feel displaced? Where do we turn when our concerns are dismissed as racism? Where do we belong if not in the very country our ancestors helped build, protect, and call home? This is not about hate. This is about loss. The morning of Canada that once felt united, where being Canadian meant something shared, something solid. Now it feels fractured, foreign, and unfamiliar. I want to be clear. I don't hate others, but I refuse to hate myself. I have the right to love my culture, my values, my way of life, just like anyone does. I have the right to protect my future. My children will inherit. I have the right to say this is my country too. So no, I'm not racist. I'm just tired of walking on eggshells in a land that should feel like home. Tired of being erased in the name of inclusion. Tired of being silent to keep the peace while everything I love quietly disappears. I won't stay silent anymore because I love Canada, because I love truth, and because I still believe we're worth saving. Cheers.
Canadians, what happened? How did such a great, peaceful, and safe country got here? How come crime is out of control? Young people can't find jobs. Immigrants are complaining about new immigrants not integrating in the society. How come your foundational religious beliefs have now been replaced by more extreme ones? Canadians, how did this happen? Have we become too passive, too conservative, or we just decide to turn a blind eye that you've allowed other cultures and norms to come in and replace your traditions and your norms? Canadians, why have you become so passive? As the lady just said, if you speak up, your color and white privilege drown out the concerns that many Canadians have. Therefore, in this video, we will discuss your pain and your concerns and why many of you believe Canada is going in the wrong direction.
Everybody keeps saying it's going to get better. How is it going to get better? Our economy is so fucked that I work a full-time job. I make $21 an hour working 40 hours a week. I have no extra expenses, no bills out of my living. I have one credit card that's maxed because I've lived off of it, but other than that, I don't have cable. I haven't had cable in 10 years. We have cell phones, but, you know, that's required to live on. But other than that, nothing extra. On paper, my bills are $2,701. My income is $2,710. Do the math. $9 a month before I pay for food, gas, car repairs, any entertainment. There's no money for that. And my car is dying. It's paid for, so I don't have car payments now that I'm going to replace. And I don't know how to do that on $9 a month. $9 to feed myself, $9 to buy a car, $9 for insurance. Yeah. So at the end of the day, this is me because I worked 8.5 hours a day, knowing that it's not enough, that it won't be enough.
In recent years, the cost of living in Canada has gone through the roof. In spite of that, Canada has opened up the immigration doors because the same government knew way ahead that Canada has an aging population, and for them to maintain the workforce in Canada, they have to increase the birth rate, which is not happening, or they have to bring in immigrants. The problem is they brought in too many without the infrastructure to support the amount.
The rate of children born per woman in Canada in 2022 dwindled to 1 1/3, the lowest recorded in more than a century. 10 out of 13 provinces and territories saw their total fertility rate reach a record low. The drop in 2022 is the second largest, only behind the baby bust that followed the 1946-1965 baby boom.
Due to the decline in birth rate and the aging population, the government knew way ahead that they have to either increase the population through birth by giving couples incentives, or they have to bring in immigrants. The latter is what they did. More immigrants in with high cost of living mean that more people will be competing for the same amount of resources.
It's the largest population increase in 66 years, a staggering sudden jump.
We are growing at about 4 times the historic rate.
In the same year the country's population crossed the 40 million mark, the additional number of people living here between July and September is up by more than 430,000. The majority of newcomers aren't permanent residents yet.
I would argue, given that the situation we're currently in, I would go as far as to say that the federal government has lost control of these inflows.
The kids today they're struggling. The 20-year-olds, there's no jobs for them out there.
Who gets all the jobs?
The migrants. The companies get to hire the migrants. When they hire them, they pay them less. Okay, and also they could get kickbacks from the government. I own a convenience store, for instance. I hire you, you're from India. Then I get an MLRI, I get to hire you. And basically what happens is I pay you $20 an hour. The government every 3 months gives me a 30% kickback. I was in Prince George, my hometown. The people at the movie theater, the lady was telling me she doesn't want to work here anymore because everyone she works with is Indian and they all speak Punjab. So she goes to work. She's a Canadian kid that grew up in a small conservative town that can't work in a place because no one that she works with actually speaks English because they come here and they don't speak English either.
I hope this video has been informative. Please drop your comments and share the video.
As a Canadian, I just want to know why it is so hard to find a freaking job. Even when it comes to applying for jobs, I've applied to maybe 20, 25, 30 jobs and I haven't even gotten a reply back. People have been telling me that it's literally just a Canadian thing, that they just don't reply or whatever. I would really rather just get rejected than not hear from a company at all.
So the Canadian economy has been struggling for some time now due to COVID and high inflation. As I mentioned before, that the aging population and mass immigration. Now you have more people competing for the same resources, which will always create ethnic tension where Canadians or your host population will start to blame the new immigrants as the main cause of their problems.
Canada is losing its culture really fast, and this is coming from an immigrant. A lot of people are not going to like what I'm saying, but it's the truth. As an immigrant myself, I say this with a lot of respect. Your job is to support the country, not change it. You left your home country for a certain reason. Now you're abroad into a different country. Your job is to adapt within the system. Your job is to speak the language. Your job is to understand the system, not overriding it with your own personal value or your own personal belief. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because that there's a video circulating in Quebec regarding international students protesting in universities stating that the French-speaking class must change. They must be taught in English. Do you understand how stupid that is? You chose to go to Quebec. You chose to go to a place where the majority of the people there, they speak French. So why are you there trying to change the rules? And that's just the tip of the iceberg among so many other things that is currently happening in this country. Now you have people that are complaining, stating that in order for them to get a job, they must speak Punjab or Chinese or Taiwanese or something, where this country's national language is French and English.
Too many people in this country are either asleep or they're afraid to speak or they're pretending not to notice what's going on. This isn't about race. It's not about fear. It's not about any of that. It's about math, policy, and consequences. This is about a government that is selling this country out and doing it with a smile on its face, and the media that's more interested in covering it up than calling it out. While you have been working hard just to stay in the same place, while your grocery bill is climbing and you're waiting 8 hours in a hospital hallway, your federal government has been making moves that are going to change this country forever, and they are not being honest about it. So let's talk about the 817,000 people who just came to Canada in the first 3 months of this year, because that's not immigration. That is a population bomb, and nobody voted for this.
He's absolutely correct. How can the government bring in so many people when the resources are already stretched Because if you can't take care of your own population, how do you bring in so many more people when you can't even take care of the ones you have?
By 2060, Muslims will be the biggest religious group the world over. What are you going to do then? Actually, to oppose Sharia is even then. We have families, we are making babies. You're not. Our population is going down the slump. One day we can have a Muslim majority nation here in Canada. Right in your face.
You say that you want Sharia law to displace Canadian law. That doesn't sound very respectful.
Not in majority, you wouldn't have any other option, my friend. Islam doesn't endorse gayism. Islam doesn't endorse homosexuality. The gay people are doing is against the commandments of God.
I migrated to Canada 34 years ago. I fell in love with it instantly. It was clean, organized, and there were so many opportunities. If I wanted to maintain my culture and way of life, I would not have migrated. I had to leave my old culture, habits, and values at the door because I want to be in a society that is more progressive and more prosperous. However, many new immigrants that are migrating to Canada, they don't want to integrate. They don't want to leave their cultures, values, and norms back home, although it might be non-progressive. They want to bring their same culture, values, and norms and habits and traditions into Canada. And they don't want to change. They want Canada to change to their ways, which is counterproductive of why they migrate in the first place. I believe if you want a better life in a different country, you should leave some things at the door. We don't want the cultures and values that you're leaving. I believe if you want to be better, and the reason why you migrate to Canada is because you want a better standard of living. So therefore, if the ones you hold on to have not worked and doesn't work, please leave them at the door. If you want to maintain your tradition, your cultures, your customs, and your norms, why migrate? Why migrate and want to impose your values and norms to your new country? If they were so good in the first place, why don't you stay where you are?
I saw two videos recently that just boils my blood. It's about Canada and what's happening here. One video was about one particular group of people doing their prayers in public, in an area where public usually gather for their peaceful weekend gatherings, things like that. And these set of people have to have their prayer done only there in front of the public, disrupting all the public, I don't know, things that usually they do. They come around, the families come around in the weekends, enjoy the park, things like that. Another video that I saw was another set of people who have come to Canada doing some kind of prayer to a river in Canada. And I hope they haven't put anything or thrown anything into that river, because I'd be so pissed if they spoiled that waters. See, I'm a first generation immigrant to Canada. I came to this beautiful country not just because of the opportunities that it provides. It's also because I studied the culture, the original culture of Canada, how people behave, how beautiful of a culture the people of this country have. All these things eventually led to my decision to come to this country. I left my culture, came here to get assimilated to this beautiful culture in this country. Having a love for someone's own culture is a good thing. But I'm telling you, immigrants who are just like me, you came to this country and you are expected to assimilate into the culture of this country. In addition to that, if you want to practice your own culture, you're free to do that. But it should not be at the expense of being a nuisance to others. being a nuisance to the public. Whichever religion or group or culture it is, please, if you're an immigrant, if you're a first generation immigrant, I know most of people in Canada, Canadians are multi-generational immigrants eventually, originally. But I'm not talking about that. Those people who immigrated to this country centuries ago, they have slowly came together and they have collectively brought together a culture that is the Canadian culture. And if you are a recent immigrant, you are expected to be a part of that culture. And I'm telling again, it's okay to practice your culture. It's okay to have love for your own culture. But I have left all those things behind and came here to be a part of Canadian culture. But if you want to practice your old culture here, do it. Please do it. The privacy of four walls. Don't force others and don't force the public to be a part of your culture. I am talking to my own people here. I know you are listening and I know you are listening well. Please don't try to change this beautiful country into something that you left behind. That's all I have to say.
This is a kind of immigrant Canada needs. If you want to maintain your cultures, your values, and your norms, don't migrate. But if you want to be a part of Canada, adopt the Canadian way of life and leave your culture at the door.
Canada cannot survive without India. 642,000 Indians came to Canada through the students program last year, and 543,000 Indians came through the temporary foreign worker program in the last 2 years. Canada exports $5.56 billion worth of goods to India every year. India exports $3.8 billion worth of goods every year. Canadian pension funds have invested $32 billion in India. Both Canada and India have a huge stake in each other. But all of this can go wrong because relations between India and Canada are at the all-time low. And it's getting worse day by day. And it's not a good sign for both the countries, as it can negatively affect both trade and economy. All of this started when Justin Trudeau alleged Indian government had a hand in the assassination of a Sikh Canadian, to which India replied with temporary suspension of visa services to all Canadians. All I wish for is tension between both the countries to stop and they use all their potential to help each other grow. What's your take on this?
So there you have it. It's always about the money. Your government will always sell you out because of the money.
Dan, what happened? You feeling cold?
You mean if I'm feeling cold, you're not feeling cold?
I mean, normal.
We mean it, Dan.
There's dragging weather here.
Ice falling from the sky right now.
Ice is more like flu, so not technically.
Ice falling from the sky, you're not feeling cold? Cold, are they? Them from here, and them feeling cold. Watch. Like I smoking a cigarette. But I don't know about this, I'm not from here. Where I'm from is 33 degrees Celsius. This is not even 33 degrees Fahrenheit. I have a subtract sign in front of the degrees and I don't know where I'm going, but I'll go find it.
Dan, wait, my boy.
I'm not waiting here, but
Dan, it's not that cold. Dan.
Today on How Fucked is Canadian Healthcare, I need an MRI to see if I have a fucking brain tumor. And go ahead, guess when it is. Go ahead, guess. It's in 2026. 2026. My MRI to see if I have a brain tumor is in 2026. It's March 2025 right now. And if you thought this was bad, it's actually worse than you thought, because the appointment where we decided that I need this MRI was in December of last year. So it's not like it's 10 months from now, it's 13 months. It's a 13-month wait to see if I have a brain tumor. At first, I just thought this was a mistake because having an MRI every year is like a monitoring timeline. Like I already have an MRI every year for my spine tumor, which is why we think maybe I have a brain tumor too. So I was like, okay, they just made a mistake and scheduled this on a monitoring timeline. But no, I called and the clinic was like, yeah, the doctor actually requested that you have it earlier, but this is the next spot we have. We're seeing about 13 months for these brain and spine MRIs.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine that? She had to wait 13 months to do an MRI in a first world country, while at the same time, instead of hiring more practitioners, the government is giving so much money to Ukraine to fund
I was born and raised in a small town just north of Toronto. I've been working since I was 16 years old, and now I'm in my mid-40s, which means I've been paying into taxes for that length of time. I worked for one particular organization for 20 years, and when I was let go due to corporate restructuring, the government provided me with 6 weeks of employment insurance. 6 weeks. I've been looking for a job for nearly a year, and we've been talking about how hard it is to find jobs in the service industry, but it's not just the service industry. It's everywhere. I'm a learning consultant, and if I didn't have children, I would run to another country and come back to Canada as a refugee with a different name so that I could get these benefits that everybody else is getting as newcomers. We have a problem here, and we seem to have forgotten that the government doesn't have money. It is not government funded. It is taxpayer funded. It is our money that we've been paying for years and years and years, and it's being given away to everybody but Canadians.
She is so on point. As an immigrant, I lived in Canada for 34 years, and I never, ever collected social assistance.
Canada, Canada, Canada. Canadian people, I feel sorry for you. Whoever your prime minister is needs to come to the front. I don't know his name, the new one, whatever. Trudeau, you too, you come here. Because what do you mean? The prices in the shops, in the supermarkets. Oh. Are you having a laugh? Are you having a bubble? Listen, I'm only here on holiday. I went to the supermarket yesterday. I got 2 items. I got 2 items. 2 items. I got a packet of crisp or chips and a tin of custard. Guess how much that cost me? Let the British people scream before I even answer. $10.33. $10.33. Do you know how much British pounds that is? That's £7 something. For a packet of crisp and a tin of custard. And it's not even British custard. It's not even imported. It was made here. Was it? I don't know. You people are suffering. I feel so... The other day, I wanted to get grapes. Why was it nearly $10 for grapes? Grapes. That is £1 something, £2 something in the UK, in Marks and Spencer's.
I hope this video has been informative. And many Canadians are so frustrated. They're not really angry at immigrants, but they're upset at the government who allowed so many immigrants to come in without being integrated or building the infrastructure that can absorb them. And therefore, Canadians have to be competing with newcomers for the same amount of resources. This will only create strife and tension. And for some Canadians, instead of arguing or getting upset, they are leaving. And let me assure you that when you do, your quality of life can be so much better in other places in the world. And at the end of the day, Canadians, you want peace of mind, but you must also hold your government accountable. But then again, Canadians voted for the same old Liberal Party that has caused the problem that we're in. People, thank you for watching. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.
The main reason why we're leaving Canada after living here for 6 years is mainly because it's not worth it anymore for us to be away from our family and not being able to visit them as often as we would want to because of the high cost of living and everything else around. When we moved here, it was extremely painful for our parents. I know it was, even though they were excited for us and were very supportive, but it was very painful for them to
accept the fact that their kid is moving away pretty much forever and they will only be seeing them maybe once a year, maybe twice a year max. But they knew it's all going to be worth it because based on our qualifications and our brains, we could do more with what we have somewhere in a first world country that is so much more advanced. And for them to see right now how Canada is struggling and seeing on TV how Canadians born and raised here are crying and not really knowing how to cope with the expenses and with the prices and everything, and the fact that I have been waiting for a doctor's appointment for 9 months, and the fact that we cannot leave our noisy downtown apartment because the rent has gone up astronomically, and a few other major issues that are not really being solved at all. It kind of made us all wonder, why are we here now, and why don't we try to live the best years of our lives somewhere where at least you can be closer to your family and freaking have some sun. Canada is a great country and we will miss it a lot, but you gotta do what you gotta do for your own happiness, you know?